Welcome back to What You Will Learn. My name is Adam Ashton.
Hola, hermano. My name is Adam Jones. Today, we're getting into the E-Myth Revisited, subtitled Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It.
Michael E. Gerber?
Yeah, that's it. The world's number one small business guru, apparently.
Apparently. Man, it's not a bad book.
Yeah.
It's not a great book, though. It's just okay.
Yeah.
It's an interesting read for a small business, probably more for a physical store, I reckon. There's some good shit in here, but it's probably not one of my tops, that's for sure.
It's quite a famous book, isn't it?
Man, it's massively popular. More than 2 million copies sold, according to the cover. But man, I've heard this recommended by everyone.
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss talks about it all the time. Pretty much everyone who recommends business books recommends this one in their top 3, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, no, good honesty. I personally like some parts of it. Very, very good. I liked and definitely learned quite a bit from it. So.
Yeah. Well, mate, there's definitely plenty to learn. So what is the E-Myth? So he says, this is the E-Myth Revisited. Mate, he talked at the start. He wrote a book called The E-Myth. Yeah. And then he fucking lost his business and his wife dumped him. And so now he's written a follow-up, The E-Myth Revisited. He's touched it up about 25 years later.
Yeah.
So the entrepreneurial myth is a myth that most people who start a small business are entrepreneurs. And the fatal assumption is that an individual who understands the technical work of a business can successfully run a business that does that technical work. So we'll get stuck in to the myth first of all.
Yeah. So with this myth, it's said that a lot of people with small businesses really aren't entrepreneurs like some people might think they are. Whereas they were probably an entrepreneur in that one moment when they had a job and they thought, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go out on my own. And in that moment, they're like, I want to change things. I want to, do something different. So they're an entrepreneur. And then we'll get into it later. We'll define the people running the show in our own mind. But
yeah, so he says at that moment you're referring to, he calls it the entrepreneurial seizure. So he says that seizure, that moment of that happens is you're probably working for someone else, and secondly, you're doing the technical work that you later open your business in, and thirdly, you're pretty bloody good at that work. So you're working for someone else, and then one day something could happen. It might be a really nice day of weather, and you think, fuck it, I don't want to go to work. I'd rather work for myself, or it's someone's birthday, or you miss your kid's graduation, or you get a paycheck and think, geez, I worked too hard for this, or your boss looks at you funny, or whatever happens, and you have this seizure and think, you know what? I'm bloody good at this job. My boss is a douchebag. I'm going to go out and make my own business in this field.
Yeah.
And so he said that's probably not always the best way to start, but it happens.
That's how it happens. So in that moment, they do something, probably get out of the comfort zone a bit.
Yeah.
And then in that moment, the entrepreneur has taken over and has led them to start their own business. But what we'll get into now is chapter 2 is like...
Oh, we'll get into the fatal assumption.
Which is...
chapter 1. So he says the fatal assumption so he says that the fatal assumption that these people who are having this seizure, they think just because they can do the work and they can do the work well, that they can then open a business and do it well. So he says that the technical work of a business and the business that does the technical work are two very different things, if that makes sense. Yep. Sorry, mate. Chapter 2, you were saying?
That's good. No, it's a great segue. So that's the entrepreneur taking into that position. They're right. They've started the new business, but in reality, once they're there and they're into the thick of things, it's back to the technician. The technician takes over. So do you want to define... Yeah,
so there's 3 types of so each business owner, there's 3 types of personalities or people that make them up. So there's the entrepreneur, the manager, and the technician. So those definitions... Fuck, I had them.
So...
Oh, here we go. So the entrepreneur is the personality that turns a trivial condition into an exceptional opportunity. So it's the visionary, the dreamer, it's the energy behind the creativity and imagination.
Yeah, that's it. So then... Alternatively, what we also have inside ourselves is the manager. So the manager is pragmatic. He or she is responsible for order, planning, and predictability. So where the entrepreneur lives in the future, the manager lives in the past. The entrepreneur thrives to change, and the manager sticks to the status quo.
Love it. And so you said you've got your future, you got your past. In the present is the the technician. So the technician's the doer. So it's the person who goes out and does the work, essentially.
Yeah.
So they're the three. So is Gerber?
Yeah.
What do we call him?
Gerber. Gerber.
So Gerber says that each business owner has these three people inside of them: the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur.
Yeah. So the key to get everything right is to find the right level of balance.
Yeah.
Because if you let the technician take over, he's gonna or she's gonna work 24/7 and until they drop dead. Whereas the entrepreneur might take the step back and then plan for the future, and then the manager the manager on the other hand will pragmatically order everything so everything works. So the goal is to get the balance between all three and then let them all work together. Because otherwise, and that's why small businesses die is when your entrepreneur is not part of the process and it's just the technician and the manager working really hard.
Yeah,
and he said there's stats probably in the first chapter, right? Like, that a lot of people are aware of, like 80% of small businesses die in like the first 5 years or whatever, and then only 1% last the next 5 after that. So this is the goal of the book is saying. So this is the reason supposedly why these businesses fail, and that's not having the balance of like the characters we all have inside of us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, love it. What do you want to go into next, mate?
So where are we up to, mate?
So he talks about a couple of different phases. So he first says there's the infancy phase, which is where the technician really comes into his own. So you first start out and you think, geez, I'm really good at doing this work. Yeah. And so you go out and start doing that work. And he has some good things, and he says that the owner and the business are the same thing. And so it might be, you used to be a really good hairdresser, so you go out and make Joe's Barbershop. And your name's in the thing, or you used to be a really good chef, so you go out and make Mary's Fine Foods.
Yeah.
And so you the owner and you the business, it's just the same thing. It's just you doing your shit that you think you're really good at, and now you're doing it without a boss.
That's right. The ironic thing with this is like what the trap a lot of people get into is when the technician runs the show is that it gets to a point where the business is your new boss. So you think when you leave your original job to go into your own business, and what really ends up happening is the business runs your life. So you're still working for the business forever. Yeah,
exactly. Because if you, especially in this early stage, if you choose not to go to work, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
It's the same as if you don't go to work for someone else, you don't get paid. If you don't go work for your own business, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
So next comes adolescence, and he says at some point, anyone who's going to get bigger is going to go through this adolescence phase, and that's where you get some help. But the issue is, so he tells a story where, someone might come in and help, and at the start they're really good, and they're just smashing it. So you can step back and do some bigger things while they do all the grunt work. Yeah. But then later on, you just start to see little things popping up that aren't quite right. And the issue is, he calls it management by abdication rather than delegation. So it's when you were stressed out, someone comes along to help out, so you step back and let them take over. As opposed to clearly defining the tasks that each person should do, how it should be done, and that's where the issues start to pop up.
Yep, that's right. So moving on to chapter 5, after adolescence, so it gets to this point where the business reaches a point where it's outside your own individual comfort zone, and if the individual is not willing to grow and change and adapt, and then the business can't possibly get any bigger. So this is the point where it's growing and growing, but the individual decides that the business needs to get smaller again, and so this is where the business is reduced to the level of the owner's personal resistance to change. So to get past this adolescent stage, you need to be willing to change as an individual, so you can let the business go. Yeah,
and that's it. So it's all about that comfort zone, and it says each part of your personality has a comfort zone. So your technicians, your boundary of the comfort zone. The boundary is how much work you can do yourself. The manager's boundary is how many technicians you can effectively supervise to do the technical work, and the entrepreneur's boundary is how many managers you can engage in the pursuit of your grander vision. And so it's all about trying to push past those boundaries, and extend your comfort zone.
That's right. So the book goes on to and it talks about mature companies and the entrepreneurial perspective.
I like this bit. I liked this bit.
Yeah, it is good. So mature companies didn't really start out that way. So they all started as small businesses at some stage. But these people who started the companies like IBM and McDonald's, they had a completely different perspective about what a business is and why it works. So generally, in summary, what they tend to do is have a clear picture from the start. So they begin with the end in mind, and then they keep readjusting until they reach their final vision. So
as you say, like say that some of the ones you listed, McDonald's, FedExpress, Disney, they're mature companies. He said they didn't just start out with one dude in a shop making burgers.
Yeah,
they started with a big goal of being a big mature business with all these processes and systems in place.
Yeah, so that's the real entrepreneur taking over, is having the vision and then going for it. Whereas the technician, however, so the technician begins with the present and just works really hard at the present, and they look forward, and the future's uncertain, but they kind of hope that it's going to be like the present. So they just keep working long hours, and they can't take the step back to make the adjustments to follow their grand vision. Yeah.
So do you want to get into what he calls the turnkey model, part 2?
Yeah.
So basically, he says that your business is not your life. Your business and your life are two totally separate things, but your business is going to play a big part of your life. What he says about how you should be setting up a company, his contention is that you should set it up as if you were making a franchise. So he says, even if you haven't bought a franchise, if you've got no intention of ever selling it as a franchise, you should set it up, structured with systems and processes as if it were a franchise, and you could literally hand it over to someone else and they could keep it running.
Yeah.
So like he talked about McDonald's, Ray Kroc. There's a new movie out called The Founder, which is all about McDonald's and Ray Kroc, which we'll have to get into at some point. But he says that everything at McDonald's is systematized, and it's so structured that anyone can do it, basically. And the thing is, you want it so that the lowest skill level can do it, not the highest. So you get school kids going into work at Macca's because there's an exact, you have to put the burger on. They're all the exact same size. You put it on for exactly however long, a minute, flip it over, put it for 30 seconds, take it off.
Yep.
The buns have to be heated for 20 seconds. The chips can't stay in the heater for more than 3 minutes, or they'll go soggy, and that's no good. Yep. So everything's systematized so that anyone can literally walk in, read the checklist, the step-by-steps, and do it.
That's right. So the best thing what the Ray Kroc did on it, the amazing thing is, like, what he sold, what he really sold is not a very nice cheeseburger, because they're not very good burgers, is it? The product of McDonald's is actually not the burger, but it's the business and how it sells the burger, as you were saying.
Yeah, no, that's phenomenal.
So that's what the franchise model is. It's not having these awesome products, it's having a business model that actually works.
Correct.
So that's the whole goal of the book, is actually changing your perspective to just not worry so much about the product, but worry about the actual business and work on the model. So then you can hand it over to someone else, and you can go out and sit on the beach drinking cocktails while the business is out there doing some work.
And that's exactly what he said, is that he could he could say to someone here, you can have McDonald's name, you can make a McDonald's burger store, but he knew that people will get lazy, it will get sloppy, and it will end up looking bad on McDonald's as a whole. So he says he knows that people are going to fail, so he has to make systems that the people just run the system so it can't fail. And he said whoever buys a McDonald's franchise, they're guaranteed to make money because it works like clockwork.
Yeah.
So he was selling that dream of making money as opposed to selling that dream of making burgers.
Yeah. So the whole idea with the franchise model or what your business is, it's your primary purpose of your business is to serve your life. And so you work on your business rather than inside your business.
Yep.
So again, it's just taking that step back.
Yeah, and the six things he talks about, he goes into depth, we'll just list them out here. He's talking about building this model. So he says, firstly, number one, your model will provide consistent value to your customers, employees, suppliers, lenders, beyond what they expect, so consistency. Second, your model will be operated by people with the lowest possible level of skill, obviously because they're the cheapest and easiest to find. Number three, the model will stand out as a place of impeccable order. Number four, all work in the model will be documented in an operations manual. Number 5, the model will provide a uniformly predictable service to the customer. And number 6, the model will utilize a common uniform dress and facilities code. So again, this is probably why I didn't. It's a bit too serious for my liking this book. But anyway, it's good shit. If that's what you're doing, it's definitely, maybe that's why. Maybe I should be doing this.
Yeah, yeah, fucking oath. So yeah, out of all that 6, McDonald's ticks though. Is a 10 out of 10 in every one of those categories, isn't it?
Absolutely. Do you want to get into the business development
building a small business that works. So part 3, building a small business that works. So it's got a whole. So basically, as we've been talking about, it's getting the right systems in place. So there's the 6 different areas to get the systems right in place, and then you're off to the races, I guess. Yeah.
So he calls it his business development process, where you've got continuous innovation, innovation, quantification, and orchestration.
Yep.
So he says you're constantly coming up with new ideas, testing them and quantifying them to see if it's improved, got worse, and you know exactly the numbers, and then orchestration, putting it all into the process and continually innovating, quantifying, and orchestrating.
That's right. So he says you've got to quantify absolutely everything, because there's no other way of really knowing that your system works, because these numbers is what you're going to show people for your whole franchise model to work. So it's all going to be documented and quantified.
And that's what I think he says the whole goal is to build a business, get it done, and then sell it, basically.
Yeah.
As reward for your work. And even if you don't want to sell it, have it ready to sell, because you know that's when it's ticking along nicely. If someone's willing to buy it, then you've done a bloody good job, basically.
Yeah. That's it.
So he goes through his 7-step business development program. And he says that it's not something it's something he's found that's worked for all the businesses he's worked with. He said he's worked with 70,000 small businesses or something like that.
Yep.
Do you want to go through the 7 steps?
Yeah.
Well, we may as well. We'll list them out. So firstly, your primary aim. Second, your strategic objective. Third is your organisational strategy. Fourth, your management strategy. Fifth, your people strategy. Sixth, your marketing strategy. And 7, your system strategy. Do you want to kick off the primary aim?
Yeah, so your primary aim, it's very similar to the introduction to the 4-hour work week. So it's just basically understanding what in life do you want. So he has a few paragraphs on like you at your funeral. So think about all your goals with the end in mind. Just realise that one day you're going to cark it. You're going to be you're going to be dead. So take your life seriously and create the things in your life intentionally. So what do you want in your life, and then get to work to make your life better.
Yeah, he says ask yourself the questions: what do I value the most? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want to feel like? Who do I wish to be? And what do I want other people to say about me?
That's right. So the key here, he says, is pull the curtain up. So get beyond your comfort zone, and you'll really never know what you're missing until you get outside your comfort zone. So I think that's why books are so fucking awesome, isn't it? Because you're inviting a whole new way of thinking and all this new information into your brain, which you wouldn't get otherwise.
Oh, definitely, man. I love this quote he brings in from Don Juan. Don't know who Don Juan is.
It's one of the only good quotes in the book.
It's a sick quote. The difference between a warrior and an ordinary man is that the warrior sees everything as a challenge, while the ordinary man sees everything as either a blessing or a curse.
Yeah, love that one.
Good from Don Juan. It wasn't even the author; he stole it from someone else.
Yeah. So at the start of every chapter in this book, it's got a quote, and that's one of the relevant good ones. But most of them, I have no fucking idea the relevance. I read it, and it had nothing to do with the chapter title, or maybe I just couldn't follow. I don't know.
I didn't get them. Some of them were just so complex I didn't get it. Oh, no. So the 4-hour work week started each chapter with a quote, and they were fucking awesome.
Yeah, bang.
These ones, I'd never heard of the books, I'd never heard of the people, and it didn't make sense.
Yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one. So, then after your primary aim, so your strategic objective. So look for the business and basically turn it into the thing that will give you your primary aim.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah,
that's it. It's basically like step 1 was to work out what you want, and step 2 is how you're going to do it. Basically. I guess that's the simple way to say it, yeah. And it said, so there's a couple of standards. So firstly, it's the money side of things. And secondly, is it an opportunity worth pursuing in terms of customers and stuff?
Yeah.
And then he's just like got a whole list of other things. So like, how long is it going to take you to finish it? Where do you want to be in business? Like physically, like geographically, do you want it to be just in your town, or do you want it to be all across the country or all across the world? How are you going to do business? Is it physical retail? Is it online? So as you say, these are all the strategic ways of achieving your step one, your primary objective.
Yeah. And the next step is your organisational strategy. So basically, as we were saying earlier, define each role to the point where there is you don't need someone with an MBA and all this university degrees coming in. So that's what you want to avoid, having to rely on people with all these skills. You want to define each role to the point where a 15-year-old school kid can come in and do it, and then he can do it from India, or he can do it in Australia or the US. It's just the same defined task.
I must admit, this is probably my favourite bit of the book.
Yeah.
And so I read this book firstly probably 15 months ago, and this was actually pretty sick. And so it says, say it's two guys who are making this business. You go out and make an org chart. So you start at the top with, if you've got the book, check out page 175. It's got a picture of it. So you start at the top with the shareholders. Next down, you've got your chief operating officer. And 3 branches off that, you've got your marketing side of things, you've got your operations, and you've got your finance. So they're at the top, and the next level down within marketing, you've got sales managers, you've got advertising and research managers. Within operations, you've got production, service, and facilities. And within finance, you've got accounts receivable and accounts payable. So there's a whole bunch of jobs here. So it's a good way to break down your organisation. But what he says is at the start, if you're by yourself, your name is going to be under all these jobs. Or if you've got 2 dudes, you might have 8 jobs each. But I really like this structure. And what he says is first you start at the bottom and you work as a sales rep, or you work as a facilities manager, or you work as the accounts receivable manager, and you work out exactly what you do, how you do it, when you do it, and write down everything and have like an operations manual and write it down so you can literally hand over the book to the next person and say, here, do this, and you move up the chain to the next level up, work in that job, and so you start at the bottom, work your way up to the top, documenting everything as you go. Yeah. So I reckon that was good.
Yeah, pretty sick strategy.
Good chapter.
The next, your management strategy, which I kind of just talked about then. So yeah, you don't want people with highly valuable skills. You can't afford them.
Tough to find.
Have a highly valuable system as opposed to hiring people with highly valuable skills.
Yeah, and I think the important thing is if it's clear in exactly what you want people to do, I think people can learn. If you're a good manager, you can teach people exactly what to do. And start with, it's better to find someone who doesn't know anything but is really keen and really eager to learn, as opposed to someone who knows everything, but they probably do it different to how you want it done anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So next is have a people strategy. So the question, how do I get people to do what they want? So basically, give them a purpose within the company. So you yourself as the leader, take it seriously, and so for your employees, make the game worth playing for them.
Yeah, so he said you set everything up to be a game where you can always win. Every day you can win. It's not too easy, not too hard. Goldilocks tasks.
That's it.
Yeah. Maybe it was an okay chapter, that one.
Yeah.
Next step.
Your marketing strategy. So forget everything about yourself, and then now just focus purely on the customer. Put yourself out of the equation, and we have to realise that the customer's subconscious mind really runs the show. So all the subconscious things really do make a difference, like the colours or the first appearance of your product and things like that. You got to really put effort into that.
Yeah, he says, as you said, so you have to forget everything except for the customer. But he said that what you think the customer wants and what the customer actually wants are probably 2 very different things.
That's right.
So you need to find out exactly what they want.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And then next is your system strategy. So you got hard, soft, and information systems.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So that's a 7-step process. So basically the whole book is designed to just make you realise that the strategies are what make your business great more than your product.
Yeah.
In summary.
Yeah. Overall, mate, what did you reckon?
Yeah, it's a good book. Like I learned a lot.
Yeah.
Just about the franchise model and
Yeah.
and the risks of letting your technician get
Yeah.
involved. And there's a lot of he talks about there's a lot of similarities in life. Whereas if you don't take the time to step back and look at your life from 3 steps back, then you won't be able to really get to where you want to go.
So this was in the 3 parts. Probably like with most books, I like the first part the best.
It's every book.
And the first bit's the best. I should just leave it there.
Yeah.
No, I thought it was good actually. I thought it was good. It's a good way to structure everything. And if you going into business, it's setting it up properly like this would be good, I reckon.
Yeah.
Who's it for?
Definitely, as the title says, small business owners who are working 80, 90 hours a week and they're not sure how the fuck they got into it and they feel trapped.
Working too hard, not getting enough money.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is definitely for them.
The other thing is for people who think they want to do their own business, he sort of spends, at the start, he sort of almost tries to talk you out of it a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
That's right.
But yeah, mate, not a bad book. Not a great book though in my eyes, but yeah, mate, each to their own.
Yeah, that's right, mate.
Have a sing?
I love them all. Yeah, sing that shit.
Sing it.
Yeah, dog. I'm the manager. I'm the manager.
E-Myth. Michael Gerber.
I'm the manager, technician, entrepreneur. Shoot the entrepreneur and get the manager. I'm the manager.
Infancy. Adolescence. Maturity. Get out of that comfort zone, you bitch.
Take the cake, bake the cake, take a step back and look at your business manager.
Don't have an entrepreneurial seizure. That's a fatal assumption.
What the fuck do you want in your life? Take a step back, think of your funeral, begin with the end.
Just because you're good at your work doesn't mean you're good at business, you can't.
Ooh, yeah, get that cheeseburger, fuck the cheeseburger, think about business.
The business development process. I'm Michael Gerber. I'm a business guru. I've helped 70,000 small businesses.
You help me, Mr. Gerber?
Except my wife dumped me and I lost my business.
Because you're a cunt.
Oh, we'll get him on.
I'm the manager.